Schwarzel is a real veteran. He has a new, low-built, beautifully sleek machine. Contrast these two machines, Schwarzel's and Trevor Irison, and it looks as though Schwarzel is pulling away now from the third-place man, Trevor Irison from Swindon. A panel beater, builds sidecar outfits, many successes behind him. And behind these two, as we look at Trevor Irison with Dennis Williams straining over the seat and now dropping flat in the sidecar floor, you'll see the battle, and Alain Michel is now up into fourth position. The French driver, 26-year-old Alain Michel from Montélimar in France, as the leader, Egbert Stroyer, goes through to start his half-distance lap 10. Here he goes. Well, who is this man, Stroyer? The answer is that he comes from Assen in Holland. He was 8th in the World Championship last year. His passenger alongside him, Bernhard Schneiders, has come up into road racing from grass track. But now, the battle for second place continues to rage. And watch the unison, and Trevor Irison is there. Watch the unison between Trevor Irison and his passenger and Werner Schwarzel and his passenger. And where the passenger is matters very critically on these outfits. John, would you like to explain it?
Well, of course, the position of the passenger is to balance the outfit and to make certain you get the maximum traction at all times. Here you see, getting out over the sidecar wheel, just allowing it to slightly lift so that you reduce drag, but you get the maximum speed onto the straight. There, of course, the main thing is to keep your air resistance down to the minimum. Here, to get your weight onto the back wheel and get the maximum traction.
Well, you saw the advantage that Werner Schwarzel had in sheer straight-line speed over Trevor Irison in this titanic battle for second place as they went down the Hanger Straight. But Irison is very definitely quicker on the corners than Schwarzel. And there, that must be Jelinek back into the fray. He's thrown out his fairing, he's decided to go on, and you can see that these machines are actually much shorter wheel-based than they look with the fairing on. And you can see how the driver has got the handlebars angled down towards the front hub. You can see how he literally kneels on the outfit. He operates the gear change with his right foot, the brake with his left foot, and Jelinek is certainly going jolly well without the fairing. Meantime, on lap 11, it's still Stroyer leading.
In fact, it would probably be better entertainment if they banned streamlining when you see the antics of the front wheel and the...
Well, now, dramatic news is that Alain Michel is in the pits and he was in fourth position. Jock Taylor is out of the race and he was in fifth place. So, on lap 11, out of 20, in the lead, it is still Egbert Stroyer. Still, this terrific scrap for second place between Englishman Trevor Irison and West German Werner Schwarzel. Now, in fourth position, it is Jean-François Monin, the Frenchman, Swiss driver, with Wolfgang Kallaugh, his passenger. In fifth position, it is the British couple, Mick Barton and Mick Cutmore. And in sixth position, it is Gordon Nottingham and Steve Johnson. So, there are 4 English passenger and driver combinations in the first 6 in this Sidecar British Grand Prix. Now let us consider the World Championship. Well, Rolf Bieland is out of the race. Bieland had a very considerable World Championship lead over Werner Schwarzel, who is currently in third position, and he's the second of these two. And even if Schwarzel won this race, he would still be some way behind Bieland. But it's a sad blow for the Swiss driver Rolf Bieland to go out at the very beginning of the race. And we are now into lap 12 out of 20, watching Schwarzel and Irison. Into Cops Corner. Irison goes out wide, tries to get his line right for the left-hander which follows.
Well, Irison, Murray, is obviously trying to get the maximum from the toe of the longer, more sleek and obviously faster machine on the straights. It's interesting to see the way he comes into Woodcote. It may be a last lap sort of demon effort in order to gain this position.
Yes, all the time. Trevor Irison in the blue outfit will be watching Werner Schwarzel and his passenger, watching their lines. Look at the beautiful lines of that outfit that Schwarzel is in. The engine is behind Schwarzel's backside. He must have a pretty warm rear, I would think. The four-cylinder across the frame, two-stroke Yamaha engine, punching out in excess of 110 horsepower, whereas Trevor Arison has got the engine underneath his chest. Lap 15. Stroyer is at Woodcote and completes the lap as we look at Werner Schwarzel second, Trevor Arison third, going up towards Abbey Curve, the left-hander, and I will give you the gap between the race leader. There he is, the bearded, mustachioed Dutchman. He has a magnificent blonde beard, and the gap is extending because it's nearly 30 seconds now as we wait for Trevor Arison is coming through in second position at Woodcote. And there they are. Arison is now 34 seconds behind race leader Egbert Stroyer, and it would seem to me that Arison has made his break, but we will see at Hanger Straight.
Yes, I just hope that in fact he can get away, which I would have thought was doubtful from watching, because otherwise he may have shown his hand and shown exactly what he can do, i.e. pick up the lead round club and hold it past the start, which is the all-important thing for the last lap.
Well, there is the answer. Schwarzel is back with Arison, and as they come into the Hanger Straight, he should have the straight line speed advantage to drive straight past the Englishman. And he does just that thing. So if Trevor Arison, who fights back as they go into Stowe and goes through, lovely bit of driving. Oh, Schwarzel just left the door open a bit too late there.
Yeah, stole the corner, but I just hope, as I said before, that he hasn't shown his hand fully, and that he has got just a fraction in hand, and he can sort of use all the road up on that last lap.
Well, Trevor Arison can never be accused of not having a fighting spirit. This is a tremendous ride by the 35-year-old Englishman, and incidentally, Williams, his passenger, is having his first ride with him, and he's certainly having a memorable one. Over the crest and into Woodcote they come, and Schwarzel is going to go and try through on the outside, but Arison holds the line, and it's going to be a tremendous scrap as they go down to Cox, and we're getting towards the end of the race because this is lap 17 out of 20. Don't forget that Stroyer is still ahead as Schwarzel goes through and retakes the second position in the Krauser-sponsored, very distinctive outfit. Look at the way it has been designed to reduce wind resistance, drag to the absolute minimum. There's the engine underneath the cowling on which the number 5 is, and Schwarzel's passenger, Andreas Huber, does a little ballet movement and leans right over, gets his weight over, and where is Arison? There he is. There he is. And look, number 17, Steve Abbott, is closing right up. It's going to be a terrific scrap for second place. Now you see the second, the third and the fourth men, and Steve Abbott with Sean Smith, his passenger, in another conventional outfit like that of Trevor Arison, has really pulled the bung out, and he's starting to close on Arison, who is in third place. Now, there is the combination of Abbott and Smith, number 17.
And Abbott is now in the slipstream. He's just about be getting a tow now from Arison, whereas Arison in turn is losing slightly on Stroyer.
Well, Steve Abbott and Sean Smith were absolutely terrific in practicing. They were 7th fastest, having at one time been 4th fastest, and you must remember that several of the World Championship contenders are out of the race. Bill And is out of the race. Jock Taylor is out of the race. Alain Michel is out of the race. So that shows you how well Steve Abbott and Sean Smith were going in practice, as there, of the second of these outfits is in second place and about to lap the one that you see in front of them, and that is Werner Schwarzel, who is now on lap 18 out of 20. Behind them, Trevor Arison, and behind them, Steve Abbott. Arison is out. Arison is out after a wonderful fighting ride. Trevor Arison is out of the race, and up into third position comes Steve Abbott and Sean Smith on lap 18, and they've still got 2 laps to catch, and can they take Werner Schwarzel? Well, there in behind them is Gordon Nottingham. He is in 5th position now, and in 4th place it is Mick Barton and Mick Cutmore. So, on lap 18, coming up to the end of it as far as Stroyer is concerned, who's just gone through. Stroyer has now gone into his 19th lap, and there he is on the penultimate lap, last but one. Stroyer leads, Schwartzel second, Arison out, so up into 3rd comes Abbott, up to 4th comes Barton, up to 5th comes Gordon Nottingham, and in 6th position, Dennis Bingham and his wife Julia. His wife, yes, his wife, Julia Bingham, in 6th position. The leader, Egbert Stroyer, looking like an enormous inverted streamlined bathtub with a hole punched in the bottom and Stroyer sticking out of it, and he's coming up to lap tail enders, the leader. And the gap between Werner Schwartzel and Steve Abbott, who is in 3rd position on the last lap but one, is 3.5 seconds. Well, Stroyer has undoubtedly got it in the bag. On his way to his first Grand Prix victory, Schwartzel second there. Now, number 17, when we look back, is Steve Abbott with Sean Smith alongside him. They were 3.5 seconds behind Werner Schwartzel. There's Gordon Nottingham. There's number 34, Nottingham, who is in 4th position. In 5th position, Nottingham, I'm sorry, and that's the Binghams, husband and wife, behind in 6th place. So here is a battle going on for 5th place. Stroyer well on his way now, soon to start. He's on his last lap now. There is Egbert Stroyer, the race leader, on lap 20 out of 20, coming up to pass the man who finished in 2nd in the World Championship and has been British champion, Dick Priestley, has been lapped by number 8, Egbert Stroyer. Now, the race is definitely Stroyer's, provided he can keep going for this last couple of miles or so, and I think a copybook drive, John.
Well, I think it's tremendous for Abbott. Of course, this should be just a sort of encouragement he needs. It's also good to see Mick Boddice able to get back into there after that failure, in fact, on the warm-up lap. Well, he's now in 7th place.
Mick Boddice, son of the great Bill Boddice, who unfortunately died just a few weeks ago, and his son is proving to be almost as good as his father. But Stroyer and Schneiders now well on their way to their first victory in a World Championship Grand Prix, the British Grand Prix here at Silverstone, with the Yamaha engine behind them, punching smoothly and truly. He's had no trouble. He's shown Rolf Bieland the way. He got ahead of Bieland when he had his trouble. Out went the Swiss driver. Up to the lead went the Dutchman. And now he is within sight of the bridge, which is within sight of Woodcote Corner, which is the last of the race for Egbert Stroyer, as Rolf Steinhausen, who has been lapped, goes through behind him. And Egbert Stroyer is going to cross the line, and he does so now, having won the British Grand Prix sidecar event. But what about the battle for 2nd place between Werner Schwartzel and Steve Abbott and Sean Smith? Well, there is Schwartzel. Let's see how far Steve Abbott is behind him. The West German streaking up to the bridge to go up to Woodcote. It's going to be a pretty close thing. It was 3.5 seconds. It is undoubtedly less than that. There in the red and white leathers is the pair who are going to be in 3rd position, and they are going to be in 3rd position because Schwartzel goes through into Woodcote. He is across the line. He's finished in 2nd place, and in 3rd place, a fine 3rd place, just under 3 seconds behind are Steve Abbott and Sean Smith.
The chair, Phil Hookham, passenger leaning out over the back, trying to keep as much weight as possible on the rear tyre for the maximum transmission. Well, Ben, we can see the passenger working hard here. Perhaps you could just watch Keith Cousins and Phil Hookham go around and just tell us exactly why the passenger does what and when.
He's going around the right-hander up at McLean's now, and he's really pressing his weight down in the back wheel. He's just gone down, flat down for the straight, and keeping his eye open, getting out for the chicane. And he has to be really quick to go out for the left-handers, otherwise the outfit couldn't tip over if he's not careful.
So with Phil Hookham and the rest of the passengers having to work really hard, it's Keith Cousins in the lead, but now under a great deal of pressure from Barry Brindley. There you can see the passengers working as hard as Benny was saying. Teamwork between driver and passenger, absolutely crucial in this sport, and it really turning into a two-horse race at the moment. Cousins just a couple of machines length ahead of Brindley, but Brindley looks as though he's going to pass at any moment. Brindley takes a glance over his right shoulder to see where the opposition is, and the opposition is a fair way behind. It's just a two-outfit dice at the moment.
I reckon, Chrissy, he's going to have a go down in the chicane end of this lap.
Brindley using all the track and a little bit more.
Because he's going to use the drag going down the straight and then really try to outbrake him before the chicane.
Well, they're on the back straight, and we shall see whether Benion's prophecy is right. Will Brindley have a go at the chicane using the slipstream effect? He's still sitting there in second place. Not this time, it's Cousins still in the lead, but less than the machine's length advantage. And we now see which is the quickest outfit as they go charging out towards Redgate. 3 laps completed, and Brindley goes to the inside. And Brindley, Barry Brindley from Bawtry in Yorkshire, goes through to take the lead from Keith Cousins, but there's still absolutely nothing in it. Well, that's Tony Baker and Peter Harper. They've had an excursion, and certainly that's not a very good place to park your outfit. Oh dear! Well, I think a parking ticket would have come in useful there. And there is the scrap for the lead, and they come side by side into the chicane.
He's not going to manage it this time, I don't think. Giving enough room for it.
5 laps completed now by race leader Barry Brindley, and they're side by side again. 10 laps to go, and Keith Cousins and Barry Brindley again side by side as they peel off into Redgate. And again Keith Cousins goes for the inside line, gets his outfit just a fraction in front, and Barry Brindley has to ease off the power a little bit. Keith Cousins again back in front. Did you see the sidecar wheel lift off their Benya as they came down the hill through Craner curves?
I just saw that. It was a very professional passing he did there. I was ever so surprised to see him having a go even in that corner.
This is the scrap for 5th, 6th and 7th place. And Mick Barton in the middle of that bunch. Mick Barton, outfit number 13.
I think Mick Bodies was in that batch as well. I'm surprised to see him that far down, actually.
Well, the man at front of that group is Nick Edwards, outfit number 19. That's Nick Edwards leading this little 4-man scrap. And certainly this is a scrap that's been going along on a long time. But there is the race leader, the man who's had a fairly comfortable time. He's slowed down the pace, as you can see, because second place man Steve Webster has managed to close the gap. There, the checkered flag for the race winner. Congratulations from his passenger. A fine ride from Keith Cousins. They were able to almost cruise round on the final circuit. Second place for Steve Webster. Third for Barry Brindley.
Third in the Sidecar Championship last season, and they're lying 5th in the ACU Sidecar Championship this year.
Peter, today most of the riders and drivers are complaining about the cold weather. The circuit is very cold, the tyres aren't working, they aren't gripping, so this is why the lap speeds are down, so I don't think we'll see lap records broken today.
But Jock Taylor still keeping that lead from number 4, Abbott and Smith, on the Ham-Yam Racing Team Yamaha. There's the gap now between first and second, and Jock Taylor Pulling away now from number 4, Steve Abbott. Still in third place is number 5, Bruce Ford Dunn. In fourth place is number 3, Mick Boddice. In fifth place is number 13, Mick Barton. And in sixth place is number 6, Frank Rathel. They're the first 6. They're coming in now to complete 2/3 distance, 6 laps. That's the second outfit across the line. Jock Taylor, number 1, still leads. And the red-hot favourite on any circuit, I would say, where sidecar racing is held, must be Jock Taylor. Down through Hollywood and Craner curves, and they're going through there at around about 110 miles an hour before braking for the old hairpin second gear corner at 60 miles an hour. And that's the battle for 6th and 7th position. 6th and 7th, number 6 and number 12. Number 6, Frank Rathel, and number 12, Dennis and Julie Bingham. That's right, Julie Bingham, the husband and wife team. Dennis and Julie, second in the European Championships last year, and number 6 is in problems. Frank Rathel and Phil Spendlove on the big Yamaha. Problems there, and that dice has suddenly deteriorated with the retirement there of Frank Rathel. That's the leader, Jock Taylor, still coming in now to complete lap number 7. Around the chicane, and he completes his 7th lap now. And the time difference between first and second is 3.4 seconds. Jock Taylor has a lead of 3.4 seconds with just under 2 laps to go. Just watch the style of the former world champion.
You can see Benga working really hard, jumping from one side of the outfit to the other, which is vital, you know, to get the weight over the rear wheel, to get the power on the ground.
It really is poetry in motion with these two. Jock and Benga, the best of friends, and the understanding between rider and passenger is absolutely vital, Phil.
Absolutely vital. I'd say one slip of the hand, the passenger's too late in getting over the back wheel, and the outfit spinning off onto the grass. Vital.
Lap 8, almost completed for Jock Taylor. Starting his last lap now, and the time difference between him and the second outfit is 3.9 seconds. 3.9 seconds. But the battle hotting up now for 3rd and 4th place between number 5, Bruce Ford Dunn, and number 3, Mick Boddice, and they're battling out for 3rd and 4th place. Around Hollywood, down through Craner curves, Bruce Ford Dunn just had the advantage, and Mick Boddice trying to find an alternative line. This is the 9th and final lap, and this is the battle for 3rd and 4th place. Bruce Ford Dunn just holds Mick Boddice away, and Sidecar passing is not all that easy. He's got to pick the exact spot, and number 13 is also moving up. That's Mick Barton. There's the leader, almost a full length of that straight now for Jock and Benga. Jock has finished in the first 6 in World Championship races no fewer than 20 times. He's had 6 victories and 8 second places. There's the gap. And Jock Taylor now just had the chicane to negotiate for the 9th and final time. And that's the style of champions. On the Fowler Yamaha, prepared by Dennis Trollope, across the line. And in second place is number 4, that's Steve Abbott. Third, number 5, Bruce Ford Dunn. And in 5th place, up came number 13, Mick Barton. But Jock and Benga, winners again, as we return now to Dickie.
The traffic light starts, they're pushing now, and who's going to fire up first? It's Bailey. Derek Bailey, outfit number 3, getting away very well indeed. And Webster at the moment, the man who would be my favourite to win this one, in 5th place as they go into Redgate. for the first time, and the leaders through Redgate. There is Webster in the 5th spot. Derek Bailey out in front, 39 years of age, from Folkestone. In 2nd spot at the moment is Dave Hallam. He's one of the local boys, a TT winner last year in the Isle of Man. And Dave Hallam going very well indeed. Bailey, the man out in front.
This track is wet and slippery, so these outfits are going to be sliding around quite a lot, but it's a lot easier to save an outfit when it starts to slide than it is a solo. So although we should see some excitement, these gentlemen should be able to keep the outfits on the road. And a retirement early on for outfit number 12, Stuart Rich, as the leaders come into the S's for the first time. Bailey in the lead. Oh, and somebody went straight on. The man who overshot there, and he's trying to turn that long outfit round. That's one of the problems with the old LCRs, Peter. You can't turn them around so easily. No, you have to get out and push them backwards and forwards, so the rider will remain in it to do the steering, and the passenger has all the work, and you have to do about a 3 or a 5 point turn to get that turned around. So he's really well out of the running now.
So a bad mistake there for Barry Brindley at the start of this race. Derek Bailey shaking that LCR in the lead. In 2nd place is number 5, Steve Abbott. 3rd is number 1, Steve Webster. Bailey then from Abbott. Steve Abbott back in racing after finding a new sponsorship deal. It looked for a while as if he was going to be out of racing.
Yes, he really has got a new lease of life as Steve Abbott, now in 2nd place, because they've got a brand new Windle outfit that they say is working very, very well, as we now look back to the 3rd place man, Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt, who are the pair who are fastest in practice.
So the race leaders, Derek Bailey, going through, being chased and chased hard by Steve Abbott, sponsored by Hamilton Motorcycles up in the northeast of England for a time, but they fell by the wayside, and into the rescue came Paget's. So Derek Bailey from Folkestone in the lead. Steve Abbott from Riddings in Derbyshire, a local boy. Outfit number 5 in 2nd spot.
And Abbott could be setting himself up for passing manoeuvre at the end of the straight here. He'll expect to see him pull out of the slipstream as he does, look for a way down the inside. Not quite do it, ducks back in behind the leader.
And these outfits going into the new S section very quick indeed, but getting closer and closer is the man in 3rd place, and that is Steve Webster, arguably Britain's best sidecar racer, and the man that I believe is going to bring the sidecar world title back to Britain. He's in 3rd place at the moment, chasing Bailey and Abbott. But this man, here in your picture now, a very talented, intelligent, articulate young man, passengered by Tony Hewitt, and they're getting closer and closer. They made a bit of a mess at the start. The outfit didn't fire up cleanly, and Steve Webster closing the gap, yard by yard. Passenger Tony Hewitt tucked in behind. The viewers may remember seeing this crew crash in spectacular fashion at the Dutch TT last year when they were leading the race. They slid off the race onto the wet grass and then went into reverse into the huge water ditch, and there goes Webster in splendid style through on the inside of Steve Abbott, and up into 2nd place goes Webster.
And it may well be that Abbott has some sort of problem, because he was right up behind the leaders, Derek Bailey, and now dropped back, and you saw quite easily passed by Steve Webster, who now has his sights set on the leader, Bailey.
And in fact, Sean Smith, Steve Abbott's passenger, appeared to be looking down, looking at the engine of the Paget Yamaha, but whatever it is, it's not that serious, because they're only a few yards behind in 3rd place. And Webster now has his eyes firmly fixed, and he goes through on the inside, and there's that classic overtaking manoeuvre. He just slots his way in front, and Bailey can do nothing about it, or can he? Bailey looks for the inside line, and Bailey winds on the power and says, no, no, my friend, you don't go past that well, that easily. But Webster is still looking for a place to pass. Bailey has regained the lead just when he looked as though Webster was going to do it. They slide the outfits round onto the exit of Melbourne hairpin. Bailey the leader, Webster outfit number 1 in second place, and Steve Abbott there in third spot.
And it can't be overstressed how important the passenger is. You see Hewitt hanging his backside well over the inside of the machine just to allow his rider to get the power on early so he doesn't lift that inside wheel. And now the passenger has to be aware of what the rider might be trying to do as Webster goes up the inside and takes the lead once more.
Yeah, Webster goes inside, Bailey's back on the inside again. Bailey's got that inside line. He's managing to measure every overtaking manoeuvre that Stevie Webster can do. And it's Derek Bailey, the 39-year of age sidecar driver from Folkestone, passengered by Brian Nixon. And Webster goes through again. And once again, Bailey tries to go back. But this time, Webster's got the margin. Oh, and he just slides across the front of Bailey's outfit. Well, some classic overtaking manoeuvres for all of that lap, Peter.
Yes, absolutely great stuff from both riders there. Webster going into the corners very, very fast, but as a result, he's sliding wide, and Bailey just letting him slide across his nose and then come back underneath him again.
Well, I think Bailey's got the quicker outfit, which you'll see down the back straight, whether I'm right. Bailey right in the slipstream of Webster, and he pulls out. No, he doesn't. Nixon, oh, they almost touch. Oh, my goodness gracious me. And Bailey made a mistake. Because he almost touched Webster, he got into big trouble then, Peter.
Yes, he did. He tried the out-braking manoeuvre, decided that he was going to go back behind Webster, but then that was the point at which Webster braked and nearly smashed right into the back of the outfit and just jerked the steering of the outfit to turn around him. Very, very lucky and very, very good bit of driving to avoid the accident there, but that rather leaves us with the race over because Webster now has a very, very handy advantage over the second place man, Steve Abbott.
Well, it looks as though Bailey may well have managed to restart in third spot. We'll see in a moment. This is the end of the fourth lap. 6 more laps to go. Webster the leader, Steve Abbott in second place.
It really was getting more and more hectic as both men fought for the same piece of road, and I suppose something had to give, and that was where it happened.
Well, it isn't all over because Bailey is in third place. He must have spun that outfit round like a little dodger because he's got back on the racetrack doubly quick, and Bailey's there in third place. We'll get the stopwatch on him at the end of the next lap, and we'll see what the gap is. There is the race leader.
And the one way to turn these outfits round very, very quickly, as you say, Chris, is to spin them. He would have had to have held the front brake on, sort of spun the rear wheel and slid that round and hoped the passenger could stay in a very tricky manoeuvre. But we're now watching Steve Abbott in his new Windle outfit, looking to see if he has any chance of closing on the leader, Steve Webster.
That is outfit number 5, Steve Abbott and Sean Smith. They've been pressurising Steve Webster in the Shell Oil's Transnational Series.
And all of these very, very long, low outfits now have the engine behind the rider and just in front of the rear wheel to keep the weight in the right place.
There is the third place man, Derek Bailey, so he's definitely got the gap. He can see those 2 outfits in front of him. There is the third place man, one-time race leader Derek Bailey. We know his outfit is very, very fast indeed. And there is Bailey in third place.
But he really must be cursing his luck. He had several seizures and an ignition failure in the last couple of days, and he's really had a lot of problems. Threw together a very, very second-hand engine that he didn't expect to be fast for this race. It looked to be fast, and then he threw it all away with nearly crashing into the back of Webster's outfit.
The halfway stage then, the race leader going into Redgate, and there you can see behind the second place man Abbott, and here comes the third outfit, Bailey. So Bailey's got an awful lot of work to do. 11.25 seconds, and that is an awful lot of time, but he's got 5 laps to do it in.
I certainly think we can see him catch up the second place man. He was significantly quicker than Abbott earlier on and was pulling away from him when he was leading the race. So he's certainly going to be able to challenge for second, I think. Whether he can catch the lead is another thing.
And the leader lapping in about 1 minute 52 seconds. and the existing Sidecar lap record set in August when this new circuit was open of 1:55.77. So the lap record has been smashed, I would say, virtually on every lap of this race. There is the second place man, Steve Abbott, with his passenger Sean Smith. And really, even if Bailey can't catch the leader, I would think Abbott's position must be a little bit at risk.
Definitely think so. Of course, there's conditions as we watch the leader, number one, Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt, changing all the time as the track dries out, and the rider's got to be able to feel how much quicker he can go. And if we watch the passenger for a bit, you can judge for yourself just how tricky his manoeuvres are. Everything's timing for the passenger. And I was talking to Tony Hewitt, he said as you come over the brow there, he just gets up suddenly out of the crouch position and gets over the rear wheel so that the rider can apply the power without the back wheel sliding. Now he's back down into the crouch position, waiting, coming up over another brow to the left-hand hairpin. Gets ready, very important to keep the inside wheel on the ground. He just manages to do it before tapping down out of the wind again to go down the straight.
Webster and Hewitt, the race leaders, looking to go around the outside and then having to change their mind because in their way was Neil Smith, and outfit number 14 is being lapped by this Yorkshire duo.
And this is perhaps the hardest part of the circuit because the passenger's right over the rear wheel, then suddenly for the very, very fast left hand has to hang right out to one side, then back across for another fast right-hander.
Well, the gap between the race leader, this man, Stevie Webster, and the third place man, Derek Bailey, at the moment just over 15 seconds, and the gap between the second place man, Steve Abbott, and third place man, Derek Bailey, is about 7 seconds. So no chance, I think, losing ground on the leader, but he might catch Abbott.
There you can see Hewitt hugging the back of the machine, all that weight over the rear tyre. He said this new chicane that they're just approaching was very, very tricky because you couldn't see the curving as they approached, and that's the second place man, Steve Abbott.
In your picture, just on the right, going into the S's, is Steve Abbott, and any second now will arrive Derek Bailey. There's a slapped man, and there is Bailey trying so hard, just behind the sort of glimpse of that red and yellow leathers of Bailey, and Brian Nixon trying very hard. They will be bitterly regretting that mistake. They managed to salvage, prevent a near disaster, because if they'd have hit Steve Webster at sort of speed, it really would have been a nasty moment. But the price they paid for that was to lose their braking point, and they went straight on up that slip road, and Bailey now has to work so hard, and so too is his passenger Brian Nixon.
These outfits all using the 500cc Yamaha engine, just as they do at the Grand Prix. All these first three outfits are Grand Prix machines that will be challenging for this year's World Championship.
And it looks as though, in fact, that Bailey has lost ground in his battle to catch Steve Abbott as well. Almost 10 seconds now, 9.6 seconds gap between him on the Road Shuttle Yamaha outfit. Derek Bailey, British champion, former British champion. Very, very talented man. He does have so much bad luck, though. Sometimes the wretched outfit won't start properly when he tries to get away. He's had some awful starts through that. And now he's got a self-imposed handicap after that mistake. And Brian Nixon has a wave to the camera. Well, certainly the pair have put their all into this race. They've tried so hard. And Bailey, a man who will be going out and doing his bit in the World Championships this year. And if only he can get some good starts in that, Peter, he could have some good results there.
Yes, I think all these first three outfits are capable of finishing on the top three at a Grand Prix. They just need a bit of luck, a little bit of extra money for the right engine equipment, which of course now has come Steve Webster. He has the right kit to do very, very well, and the other two just need it as well. But we're back with the leader now. Number one, Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt.
8 laps completed, 2 more laps to go then for Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt. And Tony Hewitt, would believe, was originally just a stand-in passenger. Steve Webster's brother was his original crewman in his early racing days. Then they had a bit of an accident. Steve's brother broke his leg. Tony Hewitt stepped in as a temporary replacement, and he's been there all the time.
And now watch this little bit of the track, because in a moment I think you'll see Tony Hewitt duck down so far that he can't even see where he's going. There he is. Now that requires that he knows exactly where they are on the circuit and is just counting his timing so he can pick his head up at the right moment and climb over the back of the outfit, not even looking where they were travelling for a brief moment there. Just keeping himself as low as possible behind the fairing to cut down the wind resistance.
Tony Hewitt, 35 years of age from Selby, and 26 years of age Steve Webster, the driver. Steve's father, Nigel Webster, was a British grass track champion, and going well on 3 wheels is something that comes naturally to the Webster family, I think. 6 seconds or thereabouts the gap between Webster and Abbott in first and second place. And as I keep emphasising, and I make no apologies for emphasising it, I really do think that Steve Webster has an excellent chance of being Sidecar World Champion, if not this year, then next.
And this outfit's a real mark of international cooperation. The engine, the Yamaha, made in Japan, but with Hummel cylinders made in Austria, and finally tuned by Fowlers of Bristol. The chassis is made in Switzerland by Louis Christen, and the tyres are Avon, made in Britain. So all put together makes a very competitive package.
Well, in fact, Avon's re-emergence as a top-class tyre company has stemmed from their involvement in sidecar racing. They've gone extremely well indeed in the past few years. Rolf Billand amongst the people who've been using their outfits, their tyres on their outfits. And Avon technology to the forefront as Steve Webster hurtles round on this final lap of this Howard Printing Sidecar Challenge.
If you can imagine the amount of work that both Webster and particularly Tony Hewitt, the passenger, are doing, and consider that this is a very short race by Grand Prix standards, they'll have to keep up this amount of effort against even more competitive opposition for a full sort of 3/4 of an hour.
And that, of course, puts a tremendous amount of strain and pressure, not just on the driver and the passenger, but on the engine and the rest of the cycle parts as well. Sidecar racing now, as the technology has moved on probably faster than in solo racing, and to be a winner you need a good team, a good outfit and a good engine, and we have all those qualities in this pair. Steve Webster and Tony Hewitt coming round, the checkered flag is ready. Steve Webster is going to win it, no problem at all. We wait for the second place outfit to come along. Still being Steve Abbott and Sean Smith. There they go. Steve Abbott and Sean Smith.
We'll prove the point by having a look at some sidecar racing. It's Formula 2. It's a class which was meant to reduce the costs and open it up for a few others. And this one proves to be a family affair.
And if the outfits on the front row of the grid look similar, well, that's not really surprising. Closest to us is Derek Brindley, in the middle is Dave Saville, on the far side is John Brindley. So we have the two Brindley brothers, Derek and John, and in the middle, brother-in-law Dave Saville, all on the Sabre Tools outfits, 8 laps ahead of the field, and all eyes on the traffic light starts. They go to green, the driver and passenger pedal, and it's John Brindley with the slightest advantage. But Derek Brindley finally gets the outfit wound up. John Brindley, number 8. Number 7, Derek Brindley. So the Brindley brothers lead. Dave Saville, known as Ginger, is the man who's there in 3rd place. And the Brindley Brigade, Sabre Engineering, out in front, 1st, 2nd and 3rd. And a change out in front. It looks as though Derek Brindley has wound up the wick. And it is Derek Brindley with Nick Roach in the chair. Side by side, 3 of them. And Dave Saville was looking to go through, but he couldn't do it. Derek Brindley leads from brother John Brindley. Behind them, Dave Saville. 7 leads from 8, leads from 6. And these 350cc powered outfits, very quick, as you can see. Outfit number 28, that's John Stockton. Peter Byrne in the chair, holding 4th place. And the Sabre Engineering bunch really putting on a display. They're all members of the same family, they're all related, but there's certainly no team orders and no favours given. Derek Brindley, 20 years of age, leads former solo racer John Brindley. John Brindley looks for the inside line and he's got it. And Dave Saville was also going to go through. No, he's not. Oh, that's close.
Well, I've heard of a close family, Chris, but this lot are really, really getting it close. You wouldn't catch me on one of those things. All the tea in China.
No, it's a sport apart. Oh, and they were out in the rough stuff there, Keith.
Well, I suppose this is closest to my new career of 4-wheel racing, but you wouldn't get me with 3 wheels, whatever happened.
Not willingly anyway. And another change there. And Derek Brindley and John Brindley absolutely side by side, and it's John Brindley who comes out on top. Oh, and look at Dave Saville just pushing there. The 2 outfits made contact. And Dave Saville has to drop back. Well, he didn't have to. Nobody has to do anything in this game, do they? But he did drop back, let's put it like that.
I wonder whether it was the outfits that touched or whether he touched the backside of the passenger.
And part of the Snetterton bumps making life difficult. John Brindley's the one who leads. Derek Brindley in 2nd place. Dave Saville in 3rd place. And if you think this race is being staged, I can promise you it's not. And Dave Saville just slotted through there as neat as you like. And Derek Brindley, the man who everybody thought was going to win this race, is suddenly in 3rd spot. Brindley pulls out of the slipstream, looks for the inside line, can't do it, still there in 3rd spot.
Well, you can see why they painted them all the same colour, because however many we lose, at least one will win.
Well, the Brindleys have been key figures in the promotion of this class. This could be an interesting situation as Derek Brindley takes the lead, goes past one slow man, and Derek Brindley, having got himself to the front. Oh, look at that thing twitch and weave. Dave Saville in 2nd place, John Brindley in 3rd spot, and I think Derek Brindley was playing with them just a little bit, Keith.
He's using all of the track right over the white line and the curves. Fantastic manoeuvres.
So, 7 laps gone. They're on their final circuit. Derek Brindley, 20 years of age, with teenager Nick Roach, outfit number 7, leads. But look at this for a battle behind. John Brindley and Chris Jones trying to keep ahead of Dave Saville and Richard Crossley. And John Brindley will have to go because Jenner is mounting an attack. Dave Saville, himself, who used to be a talented solo man.
I think we're definitely going to see a manoeuvre at the end of the Revit straight here, that is for sure.
And Dave Saville winding up the wick, and he's going to leave his braking until the last possible minute, and he goes past. And Dave Saville just out-drags Brindley. Oh no! But John Brindley just studs it up inside Dave Saville to regain 2nd place, but it's not going to be over yet. It's going to be now or never for Dave Saville. The charge is on, they're getting very close to the checkered flag. Derek Brindley out in front, John Brindley is in 2nd place. And here it is, the battle for 2nd place. John Brindley holding off Dave Saville, and it's going to be now, and John Brindley's done it. Derek Brindley is going to win. Derek Brindley wins, John Brindley in 2nd place, Dave Saville in 3rd place.
There it is then, a very happy family story. Derek Brindley, the youngest of them all, with Nick Roche coming in 1st. John Brindley, second, brother-in-law Dave Saville third, and in fact there are a couple more Brindley brothers, Barry and David, both of whom ride bikes competitively.
And ultimately a 500cc Krauser LCR, which costs an awful lot of money. In fact, he qualified for Europe this year, but was unable to take up the option because he did not have the equipment to do the job. Number 30 in the middle of the picture, Vic Jefford and Peter Hill, and the Paget's machine there. But there isn't any question about what you do at the time, as the green light goes and straight into the lead. That big Suzuki with its twin Weber carburetors punches off the line, and Rob Fisher and Trevor Crone in the lead. 29 years of age, Rob Fisher, 27 years of age, his passenger. Started his motorcycling career in the world of motocross, driving an outfit, and then for a season passengering it, but he's leading this one. 15 laps, quite a way to go, a little under 30 miles of the Snetterton circuit in total, with Darren Dixon breathing right down his neck. The three-wheel brigade well and truly on their way. And there in the cornfield, the passenger now looking down in the long grass. Number 33 there also out of the action. Andy Westhead and Bernard Tier. They, in fact, rolled it heavily in practice as well, so they're lucky to be at the start at all. Race leader, number 14, Rob Fisher, Trevor Crone, on the big Suzuki four-stroke, all the way from Workington in Cumbria. From Darren and Sean Dixon on the Paget's Yamaha LCR. The Tony Baker chassis carrying this big Suzuki along. Beautifully turned out. The young lads put in a tremendous amount of effort. Results in the previous season. Third in the Shell Oil Super Cup, as I said. And there, number 39 has retired. Dave Kimberley and David Beards from Leamington. The 1000cc Yamaha, a very dejected man indeed, looking there. Not at all happy, but is enjoying the sunlight, as are the spectators here. Beautifully sunny day. Race leaders. Second in the British Championship last year, first in the ACU Star Championship, Rob Fisher. The battle now behind him raging between number 45, Darren and Sean Dixon. The outfit closer to go under the bridge, under the Dunlop Bridge, up towards the bomb hole. And ahead of Dixon, it's still number 30. So that's Vic Jefford and Peter Hill. So this really is a good race now. These are the front position men as Rob Fisher goes and locking up a wheel there. A bit of smoke puffing out the back, but in fact Dixon is still in third. He can't do anything about it. Darren Dixon won the Hungarian round of the European Sidecar Championship this year in his first full season back in charge of three wheels. He's coming out now of the slipstream of Vic Jefford to see if he can sneak his way past. The passengers across the back, anchoring the rear wheel down, and another one retiring there, number 46, Andy Gorton, Peter Neesham from Ripon in Yorkshire, the Yamaha abandoned in the grass. Derek Brindley and Nick Roche, number 11, in fourth place. The Formula 2 riders have turned to the big league. He's the brother of Barry Brindley, the Grand Prix campaigner, and he's in fourth. Really moving through the field now. The battle's still going on for second and third. But still, Rob Fisher, Trevor Crone on the Suzuki at the front of the bunch. Here are the race leaders now, really going well. This big Suzuki is so useful here around Snetterton. It punches out of the tight turn at Russell's Bend. It has a lot of torque. It's puffing a little bit of smoke there, but no real problem. The tight left hand, the passenger out, slides the back end round under power. So Dixon is now up to second place. There is Darren Dixon, number 45, in second. So Vic Jefford and Peter Hill down into third now. These are the race leaders, number 14. A gaggle of long outfits behind them. The LCR chassis, some Windles out there as well. They're made of boxed aluminium tubular struts and an awful lot of carbon fibre and fiberglass for the fairing. Peter Hill straddling the back there, keeping the back end down. There is no suspension on the sidecar at all. The brakes are operated by the driver's foot on all three wheels. A small front brake, which is used for scrutineering as well, is on there, but basically one brake pedal operates all three wheels. Passenger has to move right and left to compensate for the driver's actions and can, to a certain extent, determine which way the outfit goes. He can be useful in braking, useful in accelerating, and certainly is very useful in cornering. Number 4 there, Clive Stirrett and Simon Prime. So a good race now between these two. Clive Stirrett, a car accessory shop owner. Number 4 holds the GP lap record at Brands Hatch on the big Grand Prix circuit, Clive Stirrett. From Worthing in Sussex on the 500cc LCR, Louis Christian Racing. The Swiss-built Sidecar outfits are no more or less than a racing car with 3 wheels. The design is exactly the same. Number 45, Darren and Sean Dixon. With them now, Darren and Sean Dixon, number 45, from Folkestone in Kent. 8th finisher in the 250cc solo race, jumped off into the 3-wheeler, and he is now in 2nd place, going well, but he's being caught by the 3rd place man. Number 14, Rob Fisher, already well away now in the lead. Battle really on for 2nd. Dixon in 2nd. But still Vic Jefford and Peter Hill, Derek Brindley, Nick Roach, Mark Reddington and Clive Stirrett down in 6th. So Stirrett has dropped back 1 place. 2nd place man now. The crowd has stayed on here to witness what is really turning out to be a superb 3-wheeler spectacle. And this new bend down at Russell's is giving them something to think about, whereas previously they would have powered through there flat out on the left-hander. It now means going all the way down to 1st gear, braking hard, turning left and accelerating out. And that is where the big Suzuki comes into its own. Number 11, Derek Brindley and Nick Roche in 4th place from Bawtry, the 1981 F2 champ. From the Brindley family, Sidecar racing's in their blood. And with him now, Derek Brindley, number 11, 4th placeman. Yellow Suzuki down the back straight there, flat out in top gear, approaching 145 miles an hour along the Revit straight. And the hand goes up, Dixon's out. The Dixon brothers are out. They've retired, a mechanical problem. So that is indeed an upset for them. So they've given away 2nd place. Everybody moves up 1. These are the race leaders. Number 14, Robert Fisher, Trevor Crone from Workington. Fisher, the charge hand fitter, 29 years of age, with his passenger of 5 years. Trevor Crone, just 27. Already some titles under their belts. 1989 was their most successful year, qualifying, as I said earlier, for European Championship, but were unable to take up the option simply because they were restricted by finances. So they have the Suzuki engine reworked, and it certainly is delivering the goods now. Number 30 in 2nd place. So number 30, again, Vic Jefford and Peter Hill from Leyburn in North Yorkshire on the 700cc Baker Yamaha. So a Tony Baker chassis leads. A Tony Baker chassis is in 2nd place, and Baker, of course, himself a Grand Prix Sidecar racer of no mean ability. Derek Brindley, Nick Roche up to 3rd. And number 6, Mark Reddington and Robert Parker from Stourbridge in the West Midlands in 4th place. Joint 8th in the 1989 European Championships, Mark Reddington. The European Sidecar Series, 1 below the Grand Prix, and it's within the reach of every good national runner to go to Europe and score some points. But of course they have to qualify, they have to be graded in order to compete. And it does seem to be the attraction. Most of them go over there and get a good result. Darren Dixon, having won the 1st round in Hungary, retired from 2nd place in this race, when in a very, very strong position and looking like getting 2nd all the way to the flag. But these are the race leaders on lap 8, over half distance now, for Rob Fisher and Trevor Crone. Their ultimate aim is to raise enough money to buy and run a Cruiser outfit, which they can then enter for European competition. The capacity limit being 500cc. Therefore, the big Suzuki is no good in Europe. Fourth place they were graded on the European grading list. But certainly they are one of the quicker names now in British sidecar racing, and the Suzuki has proved to be so reliable. And I hope by saying that I don't tempt fate, but it's certainly going well at the front of the pack. Behind them in second place, it's still number 30, Vic Jefford, Peter Hill. But right with them now, Derek Brindley, number 11, and Nick Roach really closing. The battle is for second and third place. It's Yamaha versus Yamaha. Vic Jefford is under real pressure now from Derek Brindley. His brother Barry, of course, not around today. He's in Italy for the Italian Grand Prix. So Derek left at home to defend the Brindley family honours. Jefford's hair billowing out from the back of his helmet. He's really under pressure now. The passenger's leg flailing across, and look at Brindley closing. So Derek Brindley, Nick Roche, really piling on the coals now. 2/3 distance into the race, and that's the gap down the back straight. And meanwhile, out at the front, number 14, Rob Fisher, Trevor Crone. Beautifully in control, but it does appear that the battle for second and third has caused the other two to close up a little bit on the race leader. Need to get the watch going, see what the split is. In fact, the split's in front of me. Just a fraction of a second in it between second and third, and only 2.1. 2.64 as I speak. So Jefford is there, number 30. And look how close Brindley is now, within a whisker of the tail end of the passenger. Peter Hill tucks down, the heads go down to minimise the wind resistance. They know when to look up because they feel the rider back off the power change down. So up they come for the right-hander. And Brindley looking for every opportunity. Is there a way through? If Vic Jefford carries on riding the tight lines the way he's doing, there's no way at all through for Derek Brindley, but he's looking for it. The Paget's Yamaha snaking there, sideways, trying to throw itself off the circuit. Tailenders will very, very soon be coming into the frame. The first, second and third men now are well away. 2.8 seconds the gap now. Stirrett is now up to fifth, and number 10, that's Paul Atkinson, and Tony Atkinson, the former European campaigner, is now up to sixth place. So Paul Atkinson in sixth from Knaresborough in Yorkshire, the van driver on the Cruiser LCR. The Cruiser is the German design, which is applied to basically Yamaha components, and it's as used by the very, very best Grand Prix campaigners, world champion Steve Webster, to name but a few. Vic Jefford, Peter Hill, number 30. Lead, number 11. Derek Brindley, Nick Roche. The race leader, number 14, Rob Fisher, Trevor Crone. That is the distance between the leading three and the chasing pack. Here comes the fourth place man now, and that should be Clive Stirrett, number 4. In fact, 4 now is coming into our picture now. Clive Stirrett, number 4, so he is in 5th. Mark Reddington is in 4th. This is the 6th place man, that's Atkinson. And in 7th, number 32, is Roger Bodie, and in 8th, number 15, that's Mick Thompson and Ian Stapleton, on the Royal Mail sponsored machine. Now that's sponsored out of Milton Keynes by the Royal Mail, and interesting, probably the fastest postman around there in the distinctive GPO livery. Up through the gearbox. Fastest part of the course. Down towards the S's, where that passenger has to throw himself left and then right. Roger Bodie, Andy Peach, and Mepham in Kent, number 32, and right behind them Thompson. And a retirement there, number 7, that's Eddie Wright and Steve Campbell. So Eddie from Leeds is out of it in the grass. He said to me before the race, I hope the gearbox holds up. Could it be gearbox? But Eddie Wright is out of it. Right out in the grass, so that's a pity for Eddie. He wasn't in the top 6, but he certainly won't finish in the top 6 now. This is the race leader, number 14, Rob Fisher, lapping number 23, Dave Molyneux and Alan Langton from the Isle of Man. So the Manxman has been lapped. He'll be more at home when the TT gets underway, but Snetterton, a very different kettle of fish. A look over the shoulder by Rob Fisher just to see where the enemy is. But he's out on his own and going very nicely. 10 points he'll get for this. Everything looking good for the next round, June the 24th at Cadwell Park of the Super Cup Series. All points count, 10 for a win, 9 for second, and so on. Down to 10th place and 1 point. But still the battle raging between Vic Jefford, number 30, and Derek Brindley as they lap a tail ender. Brindley is climbing all over the back of Jefford's outfit, trying to find a way through. Number 23 and look at Brindley going for the inside line, but there's no way through. Vic Jefford smartly nips across and closes the door. Baker chassis handling beautifully ahead of the LCR. And going on the left-hand side of a tail ender there, Derek Brindley looking for an alternative, but there's still no way through, and the gap is far too long for him to do anything about it. It seems that Vic Jefford's engine is just so quick down that back straight. Derek Brindley has no real answer. Still in third, Brindley, Mark Reddington, Rob Parker, Clive Stewart and the Atkinsons, but Fisher and Crone, Rob Fisher, Trevor Crone. This battle for second and third place though, it's going to go all the way down to the wire because Brindley now is attacking again on the wide line. He's going to try and chop back through, and he's having a go. We're coming right through the most difficult part of the circuit, and they have to slipstream now up the start-finish area. Vic Jefford trying to break the toe, and he has broken the toe. Brindley is too far behind. He just does not have the speed to stay close where it really matters. He's having to work hard on the tighter bits of the circuit to do anything about the man in front. Number 11, Brindley. Oh, nearly lost the front end there. But he corrected quickly. There's a tail ender. No, it isn't, I beg your pardon, it's Rob Fisher ahead. They are closing on Fisher, or the camera angle foreshortens it, but certainly they are all within touch of each other. They're all on the Revit straight. Here's the leader, they're coming to the S's, and they're very close now. They are all very, very close. The battle between Vic Jefford and Derek Brindley has taken them within sight now of Rob Fisher and Trevor Crone. Could it be that they find a way past the big Suzuki at the 11th hour? Now that really will be exciting stuff, and it'll give the crowd the sort of sidecar race they came here to Snetterton to see. Brindley still, and they're really now on the tail of Rob Fisher. This is a tremendous sidecar race. Brindley in the slipstream. On the last lap now, and that's how close it is. They're coming up past the start-finish area into Rich's corner. And they're really within sight now. Can Brindley do it? This is the race leader. He may have been getting pit signals that he's had to just ease off a little bit. But if he's not to be passed, Rob Fisher will have to do something. Those two Yamaha outfits are really in touch now. The top three, there's nothing in it. Fisher and Crone are almost caught. That's how close it is. So we're going to go to the S's, all the way down to the wire, in this, the last lap of round one of the Sidecar Super Cup. And there must be a problem. Fisher has slowed so dramatically, and he's in danger of being caught. It looks as though Brindley has come through. So it's all going to be in a dash. Brindley and Jefford side by side. Brindley on the outside line, but Jefford's still there. This is the sort of action we've become used to from the leaders in the Sidecar Brigade, but these men are giving it their very best shot. and all Fisher has to do is hold it now on the sprint to the line. It's Fisher, Jefford and Brindley are side by side, weaving all over the place. Fisher gets it from Jefford and Brindley. That was a classic sidecar race. Fisher and Crone delighted, Brindley a little disappointed. Jefford must be thrilled, but they got that one by a whisker. All acknowledging that superb three-wheel competition, and the sporting sidecar brigade, as ever, congratulating each other on the slowdown lap. But what a super start to the 1990 Super Cup season.